Well, I think the artistic community came first. And so that when people came into town to check it out, which they started to do, they would come down to the York Hotel because that's where everybody would be. So if they'd call me up or they'd call up Murray Favreau, well, Murray would say, well, let's go down to the York. You can meet those people down there. And they'd come down and we'd all be here, you see. So Buckminster Fuller came down here because everybody was here, you know. Well, Buckminster Fuller was brought in to lecture in London. And he gave lectures, I think 3 or 4 lectures. And it was natural that on a Monday night they brought him down here. And he came down to hear our band. And he took out his hearing aids because it was so loud, you know. He had 2 hearing aids. He sat in that room in there.
Yes, it was a place to get together because when you're an artist, you work by yourself. So, you know, at the end of the day, you want to go someplace and talk to actual people.
We would go to places to drink, and this was the place we happened to go to. This was fairly close to my studio and to the other ones, and it was a quiet pub. And Eddie and Mo had some class, you know. So we got along with them. We could talk to them. And that was the only pub where that really happened, because we didn't know the owners elsewhere, but we got to know these guys that ran it. It's very unusual. So it just started happening. And because the artists were here, and people like that were here, other people started showing up. Is a bar band. People tend to forget that, but that's what we are as a bar band. A noise band, but a bar band.
We came here because they let us play out in public. You know, it was the only place the Spasm band could play because Monday nights was dead at the York. So anything we did was better than what they had already. So they let us play. And Mo would chirrup in the background about how awful we were, and Eddie would go out to the front corridor and talk to the regulars and close the door so he didn't have to listen to us.
The York was a very sleepy place when we first arrived here on a Monday night. Everyone was asleep at the tables, the few who were here. And it just came alive, you know, when we started. Well, we didn't start it, actually. Another jazz band started before us. But people came, they had fun. There was no pretensions. It was a neighborhood pub, and Eddie and Mo were great, and the beer was cheap, and we just played. And people hated us, but they stayed and drank anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to begin by playing I Dreamed I Was Living in Paradise. This piece was played before, but at the time the audience was such that I don't think they were able to receive it properly.
It had the Spasm band with a non-hostile audience. At that college, they had snowballs thrown in their amplifiers. And in other venues, they're quite definitely hostile. But they had their friends here and their following.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first selection this evening, selection number 1, I Dreamed I Was Living in Paradise. I dreamed I was living in paradise, but I woke from my dream at sunrise, and then I began to realize I was still in London, Ontario. London, Ontario. London, Ontario. I was still living there.
About the Spasm band, I never really liked them very much, quite frankly, if the truth be known.
The Nihilist Spasm band is a band that only certain people can tolerate, and some people probably will leave when they start, but there are other people who have especially come here tonight to hear the Spasm band. They're probably the best known band. They're probably the band that created the aura of the York Hotel.
Well, it was a very intense musical scene. In the 60s, there was a lot of avant-garde. I mean, the Nihilist Spasm band, their existence and the prominence of New York are very closely interconnected. They began here, and they brought New York to prominence, as well as New York bringing them to prominence. In the 70s, it was the birthplace of a lot of other sort of new wave bands, the Demics and Second Thoughts, and just it had like a 2-decade history of bringing a lot of musical acts to prominence.
You don't recreate things like that. They have to happen. You can't recreate them, and you can't plan them either. They happen in a community. They're a community thing that happens, and you can't recreate it. You can't make it happen. It's just got to be there.